Welcome back, everybody. In this video, I am going to continue to work on my stud wall inside of Revit. In the first video, what I did was I set up my wall, constrained it to a first and second elevation. I created a beam system, which I put in 2x4 dimensional lumber for framing. I have moved down the top of it 3 inches, which allows me to put a double top plate in, and I brought up the bottom 1.5 inches to allow me to put a single bottom plate in. I've put a window in and I've put a door in. So let's go ahead and continue on from here. Next thing I need to do is start working on my corners. And there are a lot of different corners that we can put in. A 2 stud corner, like you see right here in the bottom left, 3 stud corners, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to use this 2 stud corner. It's just a very simple corner, and it's great for this demo. So I'm going to come over here back into Revit, and I have my system here. If I were to select one of these boards, these joists that I put in here, you're going to see this little thumbtack. Let's zoom in a little bit on this. You see that little thumbtack sitting right there. That thumbtack is saying that, hey, it is locked or pinned in place. I'm going to select that once, and you're going to see I have that little red X going through it. That's saying that I am now free to edit this. I can alter it as much as I want. It is independent of the system. From here, I'm going to go ahead and create a copy. So I'm going to copy my beam. I'm going to constrain this so it only moves in one direction at a time. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to select the left side of this board, and I'm going to select my left wall. And I'm going to select the right side of my left wall. So my board is just inside. I'm happy with that. Press escape, and there it is. On the right side of the wall, let's get over here. I'm going to grab my right joist. I'm going to unpin that. I am now going to make another copy. This time I'm going to grab the right side, and I'm going to come to my wall and just get on the inside of that line. And there's that copy. Press escape, and my corners are in. All right, let's go ahead and work on the bottom joist. So I'm going to start down here in this left corner here. I'm going to grab a beam. And what I have noticed, and I don't know what it is about Revit, but I cannot sit a 2x4 and then spin it very easily. So the best way I have found to do this is to make a copy of my 2x4. So with my 2x4 selected, I'm going to edit the type. I'm going to make a duplicate of it. I'm going to call this one a 4x2. So it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be turned in a different direction. So a 4x2. Say OK. And I'm going to change in my dimensions my B and my D. I need to move these or flip these things around. So let's go ahead, and my 1.5 becomes a 3.5, and my 3.5 becomes a 1.5. Remember, these are actuals, not the rough cut size. So this is correct for a 2x4. And I will apply that. And I now have a board that sits sideways. All right, now let's go ahead and draw my board. I'm going to come here right onto this corner. I'm going to be happy with that. Come over off to the right a little bit, and I'm going to type in a 16-foot. Very good common board. It went out nice. But what I also have, let's flip this thing upside down. I want you to see something here. My board, actually probably this was a really good way to look at it. My board is actually sitting partway out into the room. I need this thing actually into the wall. So the easiest way to say it is, which way am I justifying this? Which board or which face do I want to work off of? I have this right side of this board sitting out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my board, and I'm going to say my Y justification is not going to be the origin. It's the right side of the board. Hit apply, and there it is. And now it's inside my wall again. All right, so I'm going to hit escape here. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my beams here. Now you're going to see it went back to the original because I only changed that one. So I'm going to go change my origin back to right. Hit apply. So now as I draw these other ones, they will be where I want them to be. I still have that work plane set from earlier. So I can just come off this endpoint. Let's see what another 16-foot board looks like. little bit too big, but that's okay. I can cut this thing down. I have my second board in here. Happy with that. I need to go ahead and trim this thing. So let's go ahead and select the board. I am going to split the element. And I'm going to split it right here where I meet my rough opening and get rid of the extra piece. Complete. All right. So there begins my stud wall there. I'm going to come over here to this corner so I can see it a little bit better. I found a lot of the stuff in Revit. It's if you're looking straight on it, it makes your life much easier. All right, I could just hit right here, but I don't want to zoom out again. I am going to create my new wall. I'm going to come over here to the corner, or my new stud. Structure, beam, still got my 4x2s. This time I'm going to draw it the opposite direction, so I'm just going to change my Y justification to left. Because this thing will remember which way you draw your beams. And let's see how big I can make this thing. Oops. Try again. I hit a button on accident. Beam 4x2. I am using the left side. I'm going to start on this corner. I'm going to come in to my rough opening. There we go. That all looks good. Press escape. And my board's in the right spot. So I'm happy with that. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing off the top. So the first thing I'm going to do, come up here. I'm going to be working from right to left, so I'll be using my Y justification of the left. I am going to click on this top corner. Oh, actually, let me look at my Z justification. It says top, good. That should work. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make my 16-foot board. Looks good. It's inside my wall. Very good. Escape. Let's create another one off this endpoint. Another 16 foot. Try this spot there. And then my last one off the endpoint there. And this should be 12 feet. Perfect. I just happen to know because I did a 44-foot wall. You could just go and bring it out to the edge there. But like I said, since I knew it was going to be 16, 16, and 14. Now it's time to go ahead and create my second level of my double top plate. Now, what you have to remember is that these seams right here have to have an offset of 4 feet. Easiest way to do that is go ahead and take whatever that other board was, which this one happened to be a 12 foot. 16 minus 12 is actually 4 feet, so it's going to work out perfect for me. I'll put my 12-foot board over here and then come down and make my other two 16s. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to my Z justification and my Z offset, and let's make that a negative inch and a half. 1 1/2 inch. And let's go ahead and come off my top corner here. I'm going to come put my 12 foot in. You're going to see that since I put in that negative 1.5 inch Z offset, it dropped it down off the top for me. And we are basing this off the top of our board. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and put in another one. Come right to this point here. I'll make my 16 foot. See, it locked right in, 0 there. I'm happy with that. And then let's put another one in. And once again, 16. And there is my double top plate. All right, so I have the basic parts of the wall framed out. Now let's go ahead and frame in. Let's do the door here. Doors are kind of fun. All right, so you're going to see that in a door, and if I come back to my framing examples over here. This is what we're getting ready to do. We just did our double top plate. We did our bottom plate. We're about to do our door. The door opening does not have a bottom plate to it. There's no cripples or anything like that. They go underneath the header, which is at the top of this, because ultimately people are going to walk through this. So we're going to have to leave that open. We'll have to have a king stud, which is a stud that goes from your bottom plate up to your double top plate or your lap double top plate. That board does not break. Inside of that will be trimmer boards, which will again be our 2x4s, and then our header will sit on top of that. And we'll have cripples, which are these short boards which support the top above our header. When we do our windows, we'll actually have bottom cripples as well on this sill. But let's stay with our door here. So we have a roof opening. We need to make sure that we have our trimmers, our header, and then our king studs and cripples. So here we go. These are the joists that we have to care about at the moment. They're kind of in the way a little bit. We will be cutting those out. Let's go ahead and look at our door here. How tall is the rough height of it? Is 7 feet right here. Well, that's good to know, because now what I can do is I can come in here. I'm just going to grab, let's grab one of these. I'm going to have to work with them anyway. I'm going to unpin it. I am going to copy it. Let's go ahead and copy from this edge, and I want to put it right here on this corner. So I know everything's perfectly in space. I said this was what again? 7 feet. Go ahead and take this, and let's go ahead and break this thing. Break it right there. Here we go. I have it broken where I need it, and I'll hit delete, and there it's gone. So I just made that left side trimmer. Let's go and make the right side trimmer. I'm going to go ahead and this one's already unpinned. Let's go ahead and make a copy of it. I'm going to grab the left side at this time, and I'll put it on this left edge. Happy with that. Go ahead and break this thing. There we go. And get rid of the top. I can always adjust these here in a little bit later. Very good. So now my trim boards are in place. I'm going to go ahead and copy over a stud again so I can make my king boards, or my king studs. I got my trimmers in place, so here we go. Make my copy. I'm going to grab this right side, and I'm going to put it to the left side of this board. And it's going to put it directly in place, and it's the exact height I need it to be. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and do this again. Grab a copy. Same board. Make sure I'm getting it at the right spot. Copy this board. Okay. And I want to grab the left side, and I'm going to put it over here on the right side of that trimmer board. And they are in place. My king studs are in place. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim down these studs here because they are way too long. I'm going to go ahead and make sure each one of these is unpinned real quick so it'll allow me to work with them. There we go. We're unpinned. And then I'm going to start breaking these things down. I'm just going to put these things way up high because I'll be adjusting this in a second. And then hit escape a few times, get rid of the parts that I do not need. See, my top cripples are forming here. With that, I'm going to go ahead and create my header. So I have my beam. This is going to be a 2x4. I'm going to come off this corner here. And I'm going to go to the other corner of my trim. You're going to see this thing put it in a really weird position, which means my justification really needs to be from the bottom. and my offset really needed to be 0. Helps if I actually have this route first. Top, bottom, and Z offset 0. And now it's in the right place. Let's see here, this is off for some reason. Not exactly sure why. So let's go ahead and bring this out. There we go. Now it's out to my king stud. Let's make sure this one is where I need it to be. This should snap right where I need it. There we go. And there we go. I have my first board. I need to get it inside my wall. So I'm going to select this again. My justification was left, but I drew it to the right. So I'm going to change my left to a right. And now I'm inside the board. Or inside the wall, I mean. And there it is. I can make a second one of these boards. Once again, I'm going to grab my beam. I'm going to go off one point to the other. You can see this thing's stacked at this time. So this time I'm going to change my justification again to the top. Apply. If I grab the board first again, it would be nice. Top. So now it's where I want it to be. And now I'm going to move this thing to the inside. So I'm going to take my Y justification. And again, I'm going to take this thing to the right. And then I'm going to move it in 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. And there we go. It is now in place. I have a double header. Come down here to my cripples and just bring them down onto my board, onto my header. And I'm just using the arrows here. And I'm bringing them down until my header, the top line of my header lights up blue, which means I'm in contact with it. And there we go. That's all in place. My boards are where I want them to be. My door is framed. All right. And let's go ahead and look at this real quick. I'm going to hit VG for my visibility graphics. And I'm going to come down to my door. Actually, let's go back up because door starts with a D typically. There you go. I'm going to hide this thing. Apply. And there you can see the framing that we just did. King studs, cripples, header, and then trim boards. So very good. I like that. I'm just going to go ahead and hit my VG again. Get our door back in there just because it's kind of nice to see it. I'm going to say apply. Okay. And let's go do the window, and that will be done. For my window, I am going to once again take these joists and I'm going to unpin them. All right. And here's something I like to do. Look at how I have this set up. Based off of where my window is, sometimes this thing is so tight that your trim board really wouldn't fit inside there. So you think about your carpenter a little bit. If you can move this thing around just a little bit, 1 inch here, 1 inch there, it really does help from trying to put weird boards in or having them say, no, I'm just going to move it a little bit. So go ahead and make sure that you leave room for your carpenter to work. So what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to set, I have my kingpin here. I'm going to set my trim up against it. It's going to be 1 extra board. And then I'm going to move my window in place. I just want this thing to set really nicely, and the actual location of this window does not have to be super exact. So I'm just going to help my carpenter out a little bit. So I am going to grab this one board that I unpinned. I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to pick the left side of my board and bring it to the right side of my king stud. I'm happy with that. There we go. Let's do the same thing. Actually, the other way, I'm going to have to put one in. But let's go ahead and get it in place. I am going to make a copy. I'm going to grab the left side here, and let's go to the left side of my opening, my rough opening. There we go. And then, since that's going to be my new trim board, I'm going to have to make one more copy for my king stud. And I'm going to pick this side. Oops. Accidentally got the window there. Go ahead and copy this. Left side. Go. Copy. Yes, this is what I want. Oops. Left side. This thing isn't locked in, is it? No, we're good. Copy. Oh, why this thing is spinning on me. Copy. Zoom. Okay. Structural framing. Yeah. There you go. Press center. Got my left side. Put it to the left side of this board. Sorry about that. All right. So my king studs are in place. My trim boards are in place. I just need to trim these things down. So let's go ahead and trim them. Once again, I'm going to swing back to my image here so you all can see something. Notice my sill board goes out to the trim boards. My header sits on top of the trim boards. And my king studs go all the way up. So I'm going to come in here real quick. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to now be able to get my split element. And turn this in a little bit, just so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to split this at the top here. Split this one at the top, at the top, at the top. Come down here. I'm just going to split these somewhere down here because I'm going to be moving them up. Here we go. There. And, whoops, that was my trim board. Do split this one because this is my cripple. And that's a cripple. The other two are trim boards. All right. Very good. Press escape a couple times. Get rid of this piece because it's in the middle. I'm not going to be using it. Get rid of that one. All right. I am going to move these joists up. At least I think I'm going to. There you go. Use those arrows just to get them out of my way for the moment. Very good. I'm going to go ahead and draw in my 2x4. So structure again, beam. I'm going to come off my point here, come across. Something like that. This thing is all sorts out of whack. Let's see what we got here. I was Z justified from the bottom. So let's apply that. Word, there we go. Z justified from the bottom. There we go. I don't know why this thing is making that. That's my trim board. Let's get rid of that piece. Let's get rid of that piece because they're not supposed to be there. They're going to my king stud. That looks good now. This thing is sitting way out in the middle of the room, so let's go ahead and make my justification the opposite direction. So it was left, let's make it right. There we go. Now it's in line. I like that. Everything is where it needs to be. I'm going to go ahead and draw this one again. Get my beam from that point to that endpoint. My Y justification again is, since I drew it to the right, will be right. This is now should be right in the. Try it again. There you go. My Y justification should be to the right, which will put it right inside the same board. So say, hey, you're gonna have a double instance of this. Let's cancel that. And this time, say right, and then make my Y offset a negative 1.5 inches. Negative 1.5 inches. Y. And it looks like I put it back out there, so that should have been positive. There we go. There is my double header. Happy with that. I'll go ahead and bring my cripples back down until they get lined up. There we go. And the last thing I have to do is my sill. So for my sill, let's go ahead and grab my beam. I'll come off this edge from one to the other. Happy with that. Escape. You can see it put it up in here. I need this actually to be not from the bottom justified. I need this from the top, because that's what I'm looking at, is the top of the board. Once again, I'm going to look at this. Ooh, I had it turned the right way. I'm happy about that. So that board is in place. Let's go ahead and create one more. Once again, when I grab my beam, since I know I'm going to need this thing to be top justified, let's go ahead for the Z. I'm going to go ahead and just set it right now. All right, I'm going to come off one endpoint to the other. There's an identical. Yes, I know. So let's go ahead and make this our 1.5 inch. Justified. Wait, I went the wrong way with that, didn't I? Undo that. Let's undo that, because I did that to the Z. I should have done it to the Y. So we're still going to the top. We still got our right. Let's go ahead and put our 1.5 inch. Anyone knows how to make it so when you move your mouse off of the properties thing, it doesn't turn off? I'd love to know that. I have a habit of moving my mouse out of the way and it comes out of properties. Apply this. Let's go ahead and draw my board. Endpoint to endpoint. There they are. So I got both of them in there. I'm happy with that. I'm going to bring my boards up, my bottom cripples, until I have that blue line. There we go. And my stud wall is framed. Let's go ahead and hide some doors and windows so you can see this thing. So visibility graphics. Here I want to hide my doors. I want to hide my windows. Windows. If I haven't hide my walls. There we go. Now I just have my studs. So now you can perfectly see this stud wall. I actually left the framing there. That's interesting. But anyway, I have my stud wall here. I have my double top plate. I have my single bottom plate. I lap by 4 feet minimum. I have headers for my door, a double header for my door, a double header for my window. I have a double sill plate for my window. I have bottom cripples for my window. I have top cripples for my window and my door. I have king studs outside every opening. Next to my king studs, I have my trim boards, which actually go up to my headers, and my king studs go all the way up to the top, from bottom to top. And the bottom of my doorway is completely open. I have no bottom plate there. So yep, this stud wall is done. If you have any questions, please let me know.